Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What's going on, Chip? Man, tonight, it's all about the Ripple XRP. It's all about going into depth. We're going to do a little bit of a recap review. Lawsuits must end with clarity. Otherwise, you know what happens? All of crypto falls into crypto purgatory. We're going to get into that. There's actually a lot of positive news. It's always fun to play with the words a little bit, Chip, but man, that's a great starting point. And you know what? What's amazing and what's going to create and really become a great topic of conversation are the comments that are already coming in. And so we're going to go into all of those. So stay tuned, Chip, because I think we're ready to kick this thing off.
Well, let's go, Jeff. What are we waiting for?
Welcome to On the Chain.
Yeah.
Whoa, what's up?
Oh yeah. I like those Hodge twins. And they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my God, they had a great one. They were wearing the "Let's Go Brandon" shirts, and they're like,
So
"Wait, are we live? Is this a hot mic? Is this a hot mic?" He goes, "Yeah, are you sure everyone can hear us?" And he comes out. Oh, it's great. You guys got to find it.
Love those
Watch
guys.
it. They are funny. Yeah, I want to dive right into it because obviously we have a lot of great topics. Kind of put a little spin on the thumbnail and the title of the video, and so there's a lot of comments that are just flying in right now, right off the bat. And here's one from Cryptolo: ice cream and oranges. Could be ice cream and lemons from the lemon tree, but said it'll only be crypto purgatory for the U.S. The world doesn't revolve around the SEC mafia. So, and then he has a follow up to that. But what are your comments on that one? Let's start with that.
I mean,
right there.
It's a really good point. I mean, it doesn't, but right now the price does. I mean, it's gonna. You talk about purgatory. It's gonna get stuck there, Jeff. So, look, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. Like you said, the SEC keeps stepping in it. And they're like, there's something on my shoe. That's cool. I'll keep walking. And they step in it again. It's like they just never quite understand it. But
yeah, the other day I stepped in something and I looked down and it was the SEC.
Nice.
Here's another one.
As they say.
Ripple will haul ass overseas if the SEC keeps effing around that with them. And the only ones who will suffer as a result will be U.S. citizens or investors in XRP and really in general. The same citizens who fund the SEC via taxation. That's an interesting point. And I think to that level, you know, and when we look at the impact that a negative outcome on the Ripple case will have for the entire crypto space at large in the U.S. is detrimental only to the U.S. because these companies will flee in mass numbers overseas. You know, just as you see companies within the U.S. that are moving and migrating state to state, there was just a big announcement that Tesla is moving from California to Texas. Big surprise there. But then if there's unfriendly legislation on crypto in the entire U.S., guess where they're going?
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. But he's been toying with the idea for at least, I want to say, a year. He's floated the idea like, hey, man, I just might move to Texas. So, and Joe Rogan, he moved to Austin. It's like they're setting up. You guys don't know, just kind of like let our sort of not so familiar with the U.S. sort of thing. So, as you guys may or may not know, Texas is a red state. However, Austin, Texas, as their saying goes, let's keep it weird. So you're basically moving from a blue state to a blue city in a red state, right? It's kind of like this ecosystem of it is really weird. I've been there a couple times to Austin. It's great, but I'm just saying it's really weird. You have all these weird pockets, and Austin is one of them, right, Jeff?
That's it. It is weird. Austin.
Man, there's so much stuff going on today. I don't even know. Where do we start? It's for a Sunday, man.
Right there, XRP speedboat. He's saying, hey, everything's great. Just wonder who makes the thumbnails, Chip or Jeff?
We split them. It's mostly Jeff makes them. Like Jeff made tonight's one, but
lots of good stuff.
But you know, during the week, most of the time Jeff does. Usually the only time I make them is if I'm going solo or if we have a guest on the show. If it's a guest or something like that, I'll make it. But speaking of guests, I want to just go back to last Thursday as last time you and I were together. But You know,
was.
Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the questions you guys had, just really an outstanding stream. Great to have those guys on. And then earlier in the week, we had Matt Hamilton. You know him as at Hammertoe. We got to that origin story, which is pretty cool. So we had a really nice week. We got another week coming up. It's going to be just mostly, you know, Jeff and I. But coming up on Thursday, we've got somebody coming in here. I just tease a little bit. Somebody coming in here. I don't think he's ever done another interview. Not that I've seen anyway. So maybe I'll leave it at that, and we'll just sort of.
And that'll be exciting too as we start rolling it out this week.
Yeah, we'll start rolling it out. So that's pretty exciting to happen on Thursday. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. So we're going to get there, and we're trying to land a couple other interviews too. We'll get there.
Hey, Chip, preparing for war. Just like where I'm from, I live in Laramie, Wyoming, and it's one of the only blue counties besides Jackson in my entire state. Now, that's interesting, but Wyoming also known for a very crypto-friendly state, and they recently passed some interesting legislation, and you have some interesting banking that's going on there with Kraken. You got the Kraken Bank, and there's going to be a lot going on over there. The Kraken.
Release the Kraken. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like you know, there's always going to be like these pockets that just attract people, especially crazies and weirdos and stuff like that. But you know, Austin's still pretty mixed. But I would say it leans probably heavily 80-20 left. But depends what county you're in, depends where you're at in there and everything else. But a lot of industry has been moving there for a long time. I remember here living in Boca Raton in Florida here for the longest time. IBM basically owned Boca until they like packed everything up and moved to Austin. That was like the first one. And then a lot of other companies followed suit. And of course, you know, Elon Musk, I mean, right off the bat, tax-wise, they'll save a ton of money just there. And Jeff, do you think it was by coincidence that he moved there? Because do you see how that they cut him out? They wanted to create in that one bill. They wanted to give a big break to somebody who bought an electric car, like a $6,000 break, if they bought it from a manufacturer that had a union. Tesla doesn't have a union. So it looks like it was one of these sort of incentives that was going against Tesla. Like, hey, you're not union. And since you're not union, these people aren't going to get this incentive. Well, he's like, you know what? I'll just pack my stuff and leave. You know, and I'll probably make up the difference with the savings in tax. So thanks. But
yeah, thanks for no thanks. And I'm out of here.
Thanks, but no thanks. Nobody needs your stinking, you know, incentive. And I don't even know if that's going to go through, but it is interesting to see some of the weird stuff that's going on. You know, I mean, definitely for a fact.
Crypto surfers talking about Liechtenstein. What a great place. And that's
I was talking
a good place to set a lot of things up, Chip. Yeah.
I was talking with my buddy today about crypto. We were talking about Portugal. We're like, hey, maybe Portugal seems like a really cool place. I love Portugal. I found when I was there, like they really have underrated wine, you know. It's like you usually hear about Spain or France or, you know, but I have to say it's really good. But I'm thinking, you know, the people are pretty friendly. I don't speak Portuguese. What could go wrong, Jeff? It sounds like the perfect thing to do. Everything can go wrong.
They might speak English over there.
Well, I'll live in a farm somewhere.
There you go. What else
in the country?
Hey, so Ken is asking a question here. He said, when Deaton and Hogan were on the chain, do you think the judges and lawyers on both sides were listening?
I don't think they care, to be honest with you. I mean, what are your thoughts, Jeff? I really don't. Who knows? I do think other people were listening, though.
I'm sure there's definite, you know, people listening in, and you know, if Deaton is coming on, you know, they're always probably looking to find out some details. But I'm hoping that some of the publicity and maybe even people from Fox Business or Fox Nation were listening in. You know, that'd be awesome. But regardless, you know, we have the smartest people in the crypto space all tuning in to listen, and that's all that matters. Yeah, that's
they
the
could have been
most
secretly
thing, right?
Well, we think Gensler comes in and always gives us the thumb down. Like it starts
100%. That's
like before we even come on, Jeff. There's like they got a thumbs down like every single time.
Waiting.
Thumbs down waiting for you. It's like, hello. It's that Gary Gensler with the hands on the hips. You know, put your hands on the hips.
Yeah. So Crypto Surfer saying, let's talk about Liechtenstein or LCX.
LCX.
I don't know if that's Liechtenstein.
No, LCX I think isn't LCX a coin? Let's go this one here. Look at this one here from EC.2189 KQ. Thank you for that. He said, the sooner this ends, we win. The sooner we can fight back on other fronts. Since they can't control how we make and spend our money, generate new wealth. Right on. Yeah, the sooner it ends, we win. And I think no matter what happens to this thing, we're going to end up winning, because I don't think any of us could have predicted the backlash that's happening. It's just this uprising, and it's just not in crypto. It's pretty much everywhere, right? So Jeff, I love this story about, and it's just because I have a cartoon that I want to talk about, and I have a tweet I want to show too that kind of plays into this. But Southwest Airlines here, which thank God my brother was in town last weekend. Thank God he got home, because he would have flown Southwest back to Texas. But Southwest put out like this official statement saying, because of weather patterns and everything else, we had to cancel 1,000 flights. And we're like, well, how come your airline's the only airline affected nationwide by weather outages? What it turned out to be was there was a massive sick out, because they weren't that thrilled about some kind of a forced mandate. Yeah, which a mandate really, let's face it, it's really when two gentlemen go out for a nice dinner. That's a mandate right there.
That is a mandate.
As we learned from Joel when he was on here. But Jeff, it's like, it's kind of like, if you said somebody like, hey, Jeff, I really like that shirt, that black shirt you have on. He's like, it's not black, it's orange. Dude, I mean, we'll sit there and have another argument about it, but like, why would you argue about something that everybody already knows the reason, right? You can't have one airline affected by weather nationally, and then no other airlines are. It's just I just don't even think they're just not even thinking anymore. It doesn't even make sense.
That is true. But look at XRP Speedboat is saying, since we're in purgatory, the SEC probably listened to last Thursday's show backwards to hear any hidden message. And we did put them in there. So if you go back to the show, you might get some special insight on the direction of the crypto market.
That is a really good idea, Jeff.
Can you even play videos backwards anymore? Is that possible?
Videos? I don't know. I mean, you probably can. I mean,
I
would imagine
do audio. I mean, before you take the record, you could.
Yeah, the backward masking. It was like, you're like, he said hello there, Satan. It's like, no, it sounds like, you know what I mean? It was like not even close. But this is how they roll sometimes, Jeff. This is how things happen.
That's it. Mohammed is saying the SEC knows the real value of XRP. That's why they're making sure that less people hold it and just want to suppress the little guy. Sounds
kind of look what happened to isn't it amazing sort of what happened with little run up there out of nowhere? For what reason? It's like, so something really good happens in the case and you get a bump of a penny or two, and then all of a sudden it starts moving. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. You can't predict it. I mean, yeah, the TNA guys, the technical analysis that do, and a lot of them will call it, blockchain backers, the best probably in the business that there is. And but I mean, it doesn't make, to me, I mean, he can read the charts and say, well, here's what I see is going to happen. But I'm thinking like it doesn't move on news necessarily. He's looking at patterns and stuff. But I don't necessarily see like anything happening outside of that, Jeff, which is I find is odd.
Yeah, no patterns.
Yeah, so I want to throw this up real quick. This is somebody that I follow on Twitter that I love him. His name is Zuby. By the way, Joe Rogan had him on, did a great interview with him, and excellent. Oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Joe Rogan. It was somebody else. It'll come to me. But he says here, he's like, when we were kids, we were punished for lying. Now we're punished for telling the truth. Jeff, how crazy is that, right? I mean,
that's insane.
Yeah, we're punished for telling the truth now. It's like, oh no, man, no, it is, you're deplatformed. All this kind of stuff will happen. You're done. It's not going anywhere. That's it. So
that's it. And yes, Mel G, 20,000 subs. We did pass 20,000, and then Google tried to play around with the algorithms a little bit, set us back into the 19s, and then pushed us back up into 20 earlier today. So we're very excited to show that 20,000. Someone earlier on said, does that mean we have to buy 20,000 subscribers each a drink? So if we can get 20,000 of our best friends all together in one place, shots for everyone.
Shots for everyone. Well, what's weird is like we were excited because during the live stream yesterday, Jeff said, hey, I'm like, guys, only 8 more away from 20. Then we blew past 20. We got 21,056 or 57. Then Jeff texted me. He's like, hey, man, look at our subs. And I was like, what happened? He goes, we're back to 19,000. I'm like, what? I'm like, we're missing like 175,000. What happened? I saw, this will happen sometimes. I have to say that based on, go ahead, retake that.
That was funny. So that's from EC2189. So if you do play that video backwards, there's the hidden he found the hidden message. We went to MIT too, Gary.
Yeah, we are MIT. Yeah,
we are MIT.
We're all MIT. Shut up. We know. It's like, yeah, we know, Gary. You went to MIT. Got it. Okay, you taught a course there. Apparently, it's not translating into this role as the chairman of the FCC. But okay, we'll humor. He's like, I did teach a course at MIT. But he says MIT is what he's done. Now, someone did this cool thing, and they commented on our video. Now, I can't play the music because it's the theme to Rocky, but somebody took Deaton's face and put it on Rocky, and you see him like running up and down the street. I'll tell you what the tweet says. Let me cue this up. He said, "Go on, John Deaton. You're the people's person, legend, XRP Army, a bit of fun. You the man." So let me throw this up. You got to imagine, getting strong now. Dun, 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 dun. You got to picture that in the background.
All right, you do it.
I'm not going to sing it, dude. My voice is going as it is. But here it is. Look at, there's Deaton running through the streets. Yeah, fist bumping. What's going on? Hey, what's up? Yeah, how you doing? People are just happy. Now, if you look on the bottom, these are all the people who are signing up to the petition. So you got 47,000. Now he's running with a whole bunch of people, and bam, just there, the bam, 100,000. That was just good stuff, man. 100,000. Awesome. Do it for glory, not for glory, but for love. People are great in this community. They're just a lot of fun, man. So yeah, I love that.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Good stuff.
Oh my God, that's funny. So we got the Aussies in the house. So Aussie M8, hello, Jeff and Chip from Australia. Thank you. Great stuff. We've got a really big following over in Australia, which is
we certainly do, Jeff. We certainly do, And my buddy I was talking to earlier said, "Hey, he goes like, I got to crash. Like it's, I'm GMT +1 or something like that." I'm like, "Oh, I go, come on, man. We got people that are, well past that. They just watch every show,
All right. Hey, I want to throw this up here, get some feedback. I think there's a good way to kind of segue back into XRP. And what I want to go through. So Hands Loaded shared this with us in our chat. And let me pull it up. It is on on Twitter from Real XRP Boy. And I just happen to have the video right here. It's 43 seconds. Chris Larsen talking about XRP. So let me just play this real quick.
Any digital asset to be valuable has to be serving an actual use case. It can't just be speculation. Obviously, a lot of the market today is really speculative, but we think over the long run, it's going to be that combination of deep liquidity, market makers, institutional bets being made, but very importantly, it has to have a use case. We think the use case for the XRP ledger and XRP, the digital asset, is really around initially reducing the cost of liquidity for cross-border payments. Long term, though, we think it's a key winner in this race to be another digital asset for the world for all kinds of use cases.
Man, that was solid. So,
spot on.
Chip, a few good things there. Starts right off. In order for that value, it has to have an actual use case. Then he gets into the actual use case of XRP, and that's obviously, cross-border remittance, and then more, and then there's some use cases that haven't even really been identified yet, but I think people are already talking about to build on the XRP ledger. I think that's a really great place to springboard from.
Yeah, and I also think too, the reason he's making the use case so important is because, at some point you get a meme coin and it goes up and yay, everyone, but at some point you got to figure out what is it going to do? Are people going to buy and hold it? I mean, the tokenomics of, we burnt this many, or, everyone that sells 10% goes into a kitty and then we distribute it to everybody. Okay. But at some point that burns out. And I think that's why Garlinghouse said at some point, 99% of the projects are going to fail, which you can see that. I mean, the ones that are going to stick around are having use cases. You look at what Flare is building. You look at what, XRP, you look at Solana, you look at, they do something. They have a use case, they're solving a real problem. They're doing something that's making some headway. More so than most of the time, what it is, Jeff, is doing nothing. It's like, what are they doing? nothing. They're just sitting there. It's a cute little dog, or it's a cute little this or that. It doesn't go anywhere. But I got, since I saw Notorious, can you put Notorious's tweet up there? Let's put that up there. Throw that up there. I have this in the keep, and I have got to play this because this is, again, this is so good, Jeff. Part of this may make it into our, the On This Chain Hall of Fame cassette. Respect my authority. You getting my drift, Jeff? So I think that's and guess who it features? Gary. Gary. So let me load it up, man, because this is in here for tonight. But let's look at this. This is some fun stuff right here. Hang on a second. I got to share the video.
While you're loading that up, Crypto Surfer had put up a comment here, and he's talking about Ripple and the SEC being on the same side. He said it's just theater. ISO 20022. Proof of stake coins will lead the charge soon. As they get clarity, the court case will give that clarity. And if it is just pure public theater, hey, great, but that's again, moving towards the outcome of the case, we need clarity. We do clarity. So this tweet says, it's from Notorious. It says, "Oh, Gary." Retweet in 1, 2, 3. The XRP Hall of Shame, folks. This was yesterday, and I put it in our things to talk about tonight. But here we go, guys. Crank up the music, because let the clown show begin. You raise a good point.
When he said you raised a good comment, he was talking about decentralized Danny. When he looked down, didn't know what to do. You raised a guy. What I was talking about. Well, blah, 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 blah. When he starts doing all this kind of stuff, you got to get worried too, Jeff, because he's going to go downhill. But thank you for that, Notorious. That was some funny stuff, man. I love stuff like that, man. Yeah. It was the clown show music, which was great, Jeff.
Yep,
it's absolutely phenomenal.
It's good stuff.
Phenom, Jeff. Yeah, something else. This is something that
Mr.
I don't know if you know this, but
I love when people reference
Mr. Burns.
We have to pull an episode. Get Mr. Burns up there.
If you ever saw anybody that like really resembles him, he's just not hunched over and doing this like, But man, it's like eerie, man. I mean, what else are the Simpsons gonna call? They're gonna call like the winner of this case next. I mean, who knows? And then I've got something coming up, which happens to be the shortest clip ever played on here. It's like 3 or 4 seconds long. I reached out to JamesXRP Rule, JamesRuleXRP, and he was at the blockchain. He was there this past weekend at the blockchain meetup or whatever it was.
Cool.
It was over in Texas. And I know Cynthia Lummis was there, and Warren Davidson. A lot of cool people were there talking, about Bitcoin. It was a Bitcoin conference. And we've got one of James's tweets here later too. But I wanted to play this one thing. It's just, and the problem is I try to download the video, Jeff, but it says not good for our region. I'm like, well, what does that mean? But this is what happens sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. It's like one of these things, right?
Not good for the region.
Yeah. So here we go. And so I guess somebody named King Houston 5 was the one that originally took this, but DNI was the one that tweeted it. He said only one thing left for the truth teller, Hester Pierce, to blow the whistle on what's really gone on. Protecting investors is just some BS slogan being used for big segment to get big settlements. Then he sent it to me, Patrick McHenry, and Ted Cruz. So let's look at this. It goes by pretty fast, Jeff. Tell me if you hear audio.
Are we fighting for investors, or are we fighting for jurisdiction?
Right.
Wow, that's it. That's
let's say it again, man. That's great.
Really good. That's really good.
Look how she looks up too. She looks up at the audience.
Are we fighting for investors, or are we fighting for jurisdiction?
That's right. Hester is getting. I love it. She's absolutely getting real, Jeff. She's not messing around.
That's it.
She's not messing around. That. She's so on top of it.
And we know what the answer is, right?
Yeah, we know exactly what they're fighting for jurisdiction.
They're not right. They're not fighting for the retail investor. It just isn't happening.
No, not at all. They're not in the least bit even looking for the the investor. But that's what we keep telling. It's like I asked James if Gary Gensler was there, and he said no. I said, well, he's probably over, probably recording another video about enforcement or how many people they're going to hire, or what other things they can do to destroy some other part of the.
You saw he did put up another Friday evening Twitter or video.
No.
Gary Gensler. It was on investing.
Oh,
How to
was
invest.
it?
Yeah.
How to invest? What it was? That's not his job to tell people how to invest. How about if he talks about how he protects investors, except the crypto?
Well, yeah. Maybe one day. Maybe one day once he's out of the office.
Yeah, potentially, right? I mean, potentially. So one of the things that sort of kind of came up here is that what I was talking about a little bit ago was this whole idea of XRP, the price bouncing on it. And here we go right here. Here's a Cointelegraph article. XRP price eyes $1.50. Next, after bouncing 30% in just 10 days. Now, if you think about that, was this largely because of the efforts of others that you saw a little bit of a rise in profit? I mean, this is the whole thing that Gary Gensler says, that it's an investment contract and it's based on the efforts of others. And based on that, well, I'm like, well, who did something to make that price bounce 30%, Jeff? Who did?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, it had nothing to do with the case, and it's interesting with XRP. Maybe in some way, it was reactionary to some uplifting news, but where's the uplifting news? It was kind of, up and down trending. It's a tough one. What exactly is at this point moving the value of XRP? Why did XRP fall under $1? Now, is it, it hit it, if it's strictly on, speculation based on the direction the market's trending in, as Bitcoin is going up, hitting that 54, 55, 56,000. Ethereum is hitting those numbers. Everything is kind of trending back in an upward direction. It's natural then that XRP would migrate there too. And then it's also my opinion. It's going to be based on what people,
Is it your personal opinion or your Jeff? One quick question.
It's my personal opinion.
Okay.
Not professional.
Not your capacity as one of the co-founders of On the Chain. Got it.
Right. Yeah. It is strictly personal opinion in my personal capacity.
Okay, got it.
So you want me to sign something on that?
No. I don't want to sign anything.
No,
it's
a relevant question. It's a very relevant question.
Well, that's the one question nobody asks. Like, hey, is this your personal opinion? Yeah, it is. And who cares? Nobody cares about your personal opinion. Get out of here. It's like, so Forrest over here says, will XR...
Didn't even finish my thought.
Well, go ahead. Roll. Well, I don't know. Don't know if you're going to roll on it. What was your personal opinion? I don't even know what your personal opinion was.
Well, now it's been distracted. Now
Squirrel.
Down that path.
So after it bounces, you said, 30% it went up. It wasn't an investment contract. We were talking about that.
The whole point is that it's moving back in the direction because the rest of the market is trending up. People see it as a value at this point. It's dropped below a certain number. People are buying in. The buys are pushing it back up. I'm not even any good technical analysis. I should get back to the graph and move the thing back and forth.
Slide it back and forth. That's what I do.
Slide the chart back and forth. Look how great that is. Look at that. That's awesome. Look at that chart.
No, when I watch a blockchain backer one, he's talking about all these things. I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking. Jeff, all I say is like, you know what? He's pretty damn good at looking at that stuff. And I'm
there
like,
you go. Chip, Sean said it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. It's the market cycle. XRP gets the leftovers of Bitcoin.
Right. Bitcoin pushes up and it's a big deal. And it's like, that's how it works.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. And he said it in one sentence. There you go.
Nice. I find that. That's what I can't take.
All right. So, Chip, I pulled up this other video, the subcommittee on oversight and investigations.
Oh, yeah,
put into the keep.
Before you go there, though, I want to just go to this. Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
Will XRP hit 20 cents again? Bitcoin may crash soon. And kind of what you're talking about is like, well, yeah, Bitcoin hit 55. I don't know where it was, where I saw it earlier. It may crash. Big price increases with no volume usually leads to a huge crash. Ever since Bitcoin hit 65, did it hit 65? That was 64 and change. But let's say 65,000. Then we go into a downward trend. So yeah, that's always a possibility, but you're right. It always sort of trends. All the crypto trends. It's really rare. There was maybe one or two times where Bitcoin was on a downward trend and maybe XRP was heading up, but it's very rare. It's very, very, very rare, Jeff. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, just reading.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on before you do it.
So, Ozzy was saying, thanks, gents. Have to laying bricks.
All right. Okay.
That's awesome.
There you go, man. Sweet. Look at this right here. XRP has a good chance hitting 150. This is what gets me, Jeff. The so-called golden cross has appeared multiple times on charts in its history. The last occurrence was on August 10th, which followed up with a circa 80 price rally later, with XRP topping out seasonally at $1.43 before pulling. You might as well be saying blah, 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 blah. You know, that golden cross and the hidden scarecrow and, you know, the three seekers and a golden stone. I don't know what any of that stuff is, man.
It's like the teacher and Peanuts. Wah, 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 wah,
yeah, it's kind of what it sounds like. You know, it's like similarly a close of XRP's 20-day EMA hit 50-day EMA on February 4th. Like, man, people are looking at this stuff and going after it. Fantastic, good for them.
Yeah,
God bless
those are
them.
good. Those are all good markers.
They are.
Get onto the chart.
The golden cross, Jeff. I hear that's really important.
The golden cross is important.
It's so much better than the bronze cross. The bronze cross is like not that exciting. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a good video. It's only a minute long, so we have to decide if we're going to watch it all the way through or we have to stop and listen.
We might have to watch it through, then maybe analyze it. We might have to do a little bit of both, but
okay.
We'll just see. Well, first of all, let's talk about that. It's Peter van Valkenburgh. He's the director of research at, where is it? I forget. Coin. You got your mouse.
Coin Center.
Coin Center, yeah, at Coin Center. And this was from what? When was this from?
Trying to go back in the. It's not on the. Was it in the?
I think it was from earlier this. Yeah, it's in the tweet. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe not. Okay, never mind.
That's today. Must watch. When
yeah, but it's not from
June
today.
30th,
it's from
June 30th, 2021.
There you go.
June 30th.
Sweet. Let it on.
Yeah.
Let's listen through this.
There it is. All right, here we go.
That we want blocked. There is another transaction we should celebrate for being unstoppable. Yes, there are some criminals making payments on the Bitcoin network because banks won't bank them. There are also pro-democracy activists in Belarus and anti-police violence protesters in Nigeria taking donations on the Bitcoin network because local banks won't bank them. Nonprofits Bisol and Feminist Coalition in Nigeria raised millions of dollars in Bitcoin donations last year. Donations they were forbidden from accepting by a corrupt or otherwise uncaring banking sector in their respective countries. In America, we don't always agree, but no matter what, we are tolerant and expect everyone to have the opportunity to stand up and fight for their own vision of the good. Crypto innovation embodies that aspiration. It's rough around the edges, but holds some values above all. Every node is an equal. No one's voice should be censored, and work rather than privilege is what counts in consensus.
Bam.
Thank you.
That's
Bravo.
solid.
Bravo, Jeff.
That's a great video, and it really kind of leads us, down a really positive path, to start even referencing some of the things that are going on in El Salvador or what might be happening in Brazil or, countries like Portugal or, and we can keep referencing these and keep expanding the conversation, as we look at it. And we can also take that thought process that he's talking about and also reference the overreach of world governments right now that just passed and agreed on a 15% minimum corporate tax because they said all these companies need to start paying their fair share. And, it's interesting what he's talking about here, because there's so much, that's happening in and around that statement. It's really solid.
Well, I'll tell you, well, I don't think he attacks it from a couple of different ways, right? So first of all, the nefarious, right? Bitcoin's nefarious. People are using it for evil means. Well, then he turns around and says, yeah, that may be true. It's mostly because they're unbanked. You don't have banks willing to take them on, right? So yeah, how else are they going to get some kind of value and a lot of it to somebody? Of course, it's going to be Bitcoin, right? But again, the thing about Bitcoin is that you can track those transactions versus not being able to track them, right, Jeff? I mean, you can track them or not track them. But then the other thing, he goes down and say, well, there's a women's group in Nigeria unbanked. They wouldn't bank them. How else are they supposed to do it? That's not nefarious. They raise millions of dollars through Bitcoin donations. And so I love this angle of unbanked, right? So nefarious, potentially, these are potential known criminals. They're not banked. But you have the good side of it, which nobody has ever pointed out, at least to my understanding, where they talk about, what about the unbanked? What are they supposed to do? Now we look at El Salvador and we go like, well, now you can send Bitcoin to somebody. You've got, somebody down there, an expat or potentially a friend, or, you're from there. How are you going to do it? Through the bank? No. Send Bitcoin use it with your mobile phone. So I love the fact that he points out the whole idea of this unbanked, this big sector, and it's massive. And one of the things that we hear often about XRP is we hear about unbanked, right? And the unbanked are the ones that end up paying the biggest price. If they have to go to a bank, or if they have to go to like a third-party carrier, they always get hammered with the fees. Here in the US, we've got these check cashing stores. And you go to a check cashing store. Why? Because they're unbanked. They don't have a bank to deposit in it. They would have had direct deposit 25 years ago, but they're unbanked. So they have to go to a check cashing store, and sometimes they'll take 10 to 12, 15%. So I forget what it is. It's a lot of money.
Sometimes higher.
And right, because of unbanked people. These are people that are hardworking. They want to cash a check. They have no other way to do it, and the only way. Now, what if they were paid? Let's say they were paid. I mean, at some point, you need to get that out to a value or fiat or some point. But we will get to the point where there'll be your CBDC class over here, and you'll be like, yeah. And then on the other side, you'll have cryptocurrency, and people will prefer to use any cryptocurrency over a CBDC. So that's my 2 cents on that. But I loved it, man. I thought he was such an outstanding. And really what I heard in there was freedom. You got to give people the opportunity to be able to make decisions for themselves. You got to let people do what they're going to do. But this whole, but this whole thing, we've gone way far on the regulation. It's gotten just a little bit silly. I wanted to pull this video up. I want to show you what happens, Jeff, when you are banked. I want to show this really quick. But this is like pretty scary stuff here. Let me go to the video.
You got the Lebanon?
Yeah, I'm going to pull that up right now.
Oh, good, because I thought it would be good to play that, and then I want to go and segue over into what's going on in El Salvador, all on the heels of that video. So they're like, the message now that we're going to learn here, like you just said, decentralization equals freedom. We're able to stack these ideas side by side, then circle all the way back to the beginning, which is why it's so critical that the SEC v. Ripple case comes out with some sort of clarity over the case, and that we also then push Congress into passing some crypto-friendly legislation. But go ahead.
No, exactly. But before we do that, Jeff, I just want to say, look, if it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that bell notifier. It's pretty simple. You go ahead and you click on that subscribe. There's the 20K right there, and the bell notifier, and boom. Yep. That's how easy it is. So,
before you get it, before you go into that, here's a great comment. All these things, one of the things that we've said a lot is, investing in cryptocurrency and understanding the technology and understanding all these great new projects is amazing. We're all early to the game. It's developing, and if it gets impeded in the US, it's going to keep growing overseas. However, we are seeing, things happen on a global scale that can be, impactful or detrimental to the people, which is also then a reason to segue into decentralization. And Miguel is bringing up a really solid point here. He's saying that, and this is in reference to the countries that are now trying to pass a minimum corporate tax of 15%. Think about like in Ireland and Estonia. Ireland was like 12.5%, Estonia lower, but minimum 15 means that many countries are going to go well beyond where they are today.
Correct.
And countries like Ireland are going to keep it at 15. They're going to say, all right, it's an extra 2.5%. Everyone else is going to go higher. But the one thing that is 100% spot on, which is what Miguel is bringing up here. It's interesting that we're sticking it to the corporates by taxing them, and we end up paying more for goods. Who are the ones being hurt here? It's obviously the people. The politicians really know what they are. They 100% know what they're doing, and it's impeding the growth of the individual. And that's all it is, because corporates will never pay tax. They pass that tax along in the cost of their product. It's a line item in the cost, and that's it. You know, they know they have to pay X amount of tax. Well, here you go. Your price of good just went up. That's it. You know, it's going to be straightforward. So anyhow, I wanted to put that out there. And then, you know, as you play this, I think is spot on to the conversation. So
yeah, so desperate citizens, what we're looking at is are trying to break into locked banks after it was announced they will no longer receive their savings, which were frozen by the regime there. So this is what happens. Yeah, so for I was say for our podcast listeners, it starts out.
Watch that.
Yeah, it starts out with them throwing rocks at. Looks like they put metal up, right, or something on the windows, and then you see one of the guys having shouting down with the police, and they're kind of surrounding him, and then people start running, and the cops are running after them, and then somebody falls. Looks like they got hurt, but this is what happens. So their savings got frozen, just like that. So you know, we talk about the, you know, the banks, you know, and the banks always get the bailouts. The banks always get the easy stuff. It's like, you were laundering $3 trillion. But we didn't know. It's okay. We'll give you a fine. How much? $4 million.
No, someone said here, said Lebanon's been a basket case for a long time.
It has been.
This isn't what will happen in other countries, but it doesn't necessarily have to get to that extreme, because we know we've seen this play out now over the past months, and there's a lot more that goes into it. But it's you know, it's the visual, and it is gut wrenching to know that these people will not be able to take out money, cannot access their savings. And then you think about in the US right now, and you know, a congresswoman recently tweeted out some of these points that you had shared with me earlier, you know, that there's other things that are going on that can also impact people detrimentally. And, you know, whether it's through what's going on with the logistics, freight, the rise in the price of goods. There's so many other things that contribute. But then, Chip, I think about it. What if there is a run on banks? What if, you know, they decide that they're going to freeze out ATMs, or, you know, we just saw some, you know, there's different failures, you know, that kind of go through. What if there's, you know, some temporary issue like that? You know, it makes you think. And granted, yeah, the country has a lot of other issues, but you have a country like El Salvador, which has implemented Bitcoin everywhere, you know, and you put this in, you know, in contrast or comparison to one another. And it's interesting because you get a country like Venezuela, not as bad as what's going on in Lebanon. No, it's a million times worse because their currency went from some value to 1,000,000% inflation to no value, to no grocery items on the shelves, to people trying to flee from Venezuela in mass, to now they're cutting off 6 zeros off their currency to try to resurge it. But the people in Venezuela were fleeing to crypto, you know, over the course of, you know, of time. And here in El Salvador, this is pushed by the president, you know, so the president of El Salvador was responsible for really helping to push the narrative of using Bitcoin. It's, you know, it's really interesting, you know, but it's, man, I look at this, you know, in contrast with one another, and man, I don't know. You know, some of these guys are against it, but what are your thoughts? Lebanon, Venezuela, here's El Salvador supporting.
Well, I kind of want to. Well, before we go forward, like we start talking about what's happened, I want to go even further back, and I want to talk about Cyprus. Cyprus had this giant bailout in 2013.
Yep.
Surge. So look what happened to Bitcoin. Bitcoin
I wasn't even
blew
sharing
up.
this. Sold out. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so Bitcoin blew up, right? So you were sharing. I just when I did it,
Oh, was
it
it? Oh, I wasn't
disappeared.
paying
Yeah, you
attention.
had
Oh,
it up the
okay.
whole.
Oh, I did. Okay.
So March of 2013, look at what happened to July of 2010. Bitcoin was 4 cents. Now, people talk about popping bottles and Lambos. You know what I talk about, Jeff? With once crypto moons, I talk about a time machine. Because a time machine, I'm going back to July of 2010. And if I can't go back and do something, I'm going to buy Bitcoin stuff everywhere. And she said, that's weird. What's Bitcoin? And it'd be like, no, and then this is you. I'm telling you, buy Bitcoin, right? Because look at that, 4 cents shot up to 88 cents right there. This is an insane amount. It popped 87% when Cyprus began discussing the tap deposits as part of the bailout by the EU. What happened was all of the citizens, they needed to go to something, right? The banks were shutting down. There's a run on the bank. They had nothing. They were trying to figure out, what do they do with their wealth? How do they protect it? Well, Bitcoin, 2013. That's what they were using. You had a massive buy-in, people sending back and forth. And this is what ends up happening. So that compares with just 5 cents Bitcoin in mid-July of 2010. That was when Mt. Gox started this. But again, these are lessons that they seem to happen over and over again, Jeff. And everybody has really short memories.
They do. That's how it keeps happening.
That's how it keeps happening. And then, and just much the same, like where people are like, well, in World War II, come on, man, you should have seen it coming. And they're like, well, no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen like that, where they rolled in with the tanks and said, hey, we're going to take you and get on a train. It wasn't like that. It just was, hey, by the way, you need to do this now. And hey, we got a new law and we got a new rule. And we got a new this and a new that. And oh, we got to quarantine people who are sick because they're sick. Oh, and you got to put this on. You got to wear this little symbol over here. This is how it started, Jeff. And what's going on now?
Sounds very familiar.
Seems like there's a very fast push to this Marxist, socialist, fascist sort of a lifestyle nationwide. I mean, I would say globally wide.
Great. Crypto Service is asking if we're
not.
maxes. And
not at all. No, not at all. We talk about it a lot, but we're not any crypto maxis. I own Bitcoin. I was a Bitcoin maxi at one time. Let's put it that way. I started out as a Bitcoin maxi because that was what I owned. I was like, Bitcoin, yay! And the next thing that I purchased after that, and an altcoin, was Stellar XLM, because I was listening to everybody. They said, oh, it's the only one that's decentralized. Don't listen to Ripple. That's all centralization and blah, blah, blah. And of course, Jeff and I both have a portfolio of a lot of altcoins and, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and you name it. I mean, not at all. I mean, we do talk a lot about Bitcoin, Venezuela and stuff, but when we talk about use cases, there's a lot of other projects we get into simply because they've got a lot of, but the big topic these days really stems around, people look at the SEC v. Ripple. It's not the SEC v. Ripple. It's the SEC v. crypto. It's everybody's on the line. Library is going to be next. Our videos go to Odyssey, and like anything happened to our YouTube channel, we would be over on Odyssey, right? But who knows? I mean, anybody can do whatever they want at any given point. But no, to answer your question, I want to take this one here. It's been sitting there a while. XRP Speedboat says, thank you for the support. He says, clarity is what's needed. More importantly, will Chick-fil-A run out of sauce again? Well, I got the perfect answer to that because I got 2 sauces in my refrigerator. I don't consume them. My kid does. I don't know if you guys know, but stores started selling those sauces like in a cool little container. That's a really good point because people are going to go mad. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Price of bread is up 4 times? Okay. But no Chick-fil-A sauce? Bam, deserve it. And he goes, this same scene of chaos may occur here. Listen, Speedboat, it's not out of the, I hear we're supposed to be running out of the TP soon, too.
That's what they're saying.
I need TP for my bunghole. Remember that, Jeff?
I do.
I must have TP for my bunghole. Okay. That's all I'd ask.
And Beavis and Butthead were the best.
Yeah, the best ever.
One of the best cartoons of all time.
Of all time.
Next to South Park.
Especially when they'd rip on videos. That was even better. I heard they were bringing them back, but I don't know if that ever came to fruition, but who knows?
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. On the chain is only Lemon Tree Maxis.
Get a little bit of that going on there. A little bit, potentially. I'm not sure. You might see a lemon tree here and there, but it happens.
Yep.
I want to put this comment up. Oh.
David was saying, what I don't like is Bitcoin Maxi, especially on Twitter. The more I spend time on Twitter, the more I start to dislike Bitcoin. And there are a lot of the Bitcoin maxis that are very just very negative.
Yeah, well, something that I would recommend heavily if you're using Twitter, build lists. Okay, you don't have to even follow people to throw them in a list, but it's always a good idea to if you want to. But sometimes, like for example, I've got like I want to say like 10 or 15 different lists. Like I got my bears and riddlers list, I got my crypto list, I got my crypto news list. And what I do is when I find something interesting, you know, you create a list, and then if you find something interesting, you can go to those little three dots if you're on mobile or whatever, and you can add somebody to that list. Now, what's nice about that is if you're following like 5,000 people, your stream is filled with stuff that you might not care about. But if you want to talk about, I also have one called projects, which is all the projects. There's probably about 50 or 60 of them in there, and it's just the projects themselves. You know, I call them projects, but you know, the cryptos, the source, whatever it is, you know, whether it's Ripple, I mean, or XRP, you know, if it's something, you know, I have my Bitcoin list too. So I want to go in there and like find some good Bitcoin news to go in there too, and Ethereum. But what's nice about that is that you are deciding what you want to see. The other part is there may be somebody you really like, and they're like, that's weird. They don't come up on my feed anymore because you're not getting to choose what you see. The algorithm's choosing for you. So if something blows up or gets more views, something you don't care about, that's one of the ways that build a list on Twitter. You'll never regret it. And I spend 70% of my time living in my lists.
Nice. I got to figure that out.
You have any lists, Jeff?
So I do not. Apex, but I got to figure it out one day. I'll get it figured out. But Apex was saying I was a Bitcoin maxi, but got quickly exiled once I started asking questions. That happens.
Too many questions.
Interesting. Too many questions. That's how I found my way into other assets, but I still own Bitcoin, and that's really good. I like that. You know, it's really really solid. Then there was another one here that goes back to your favorite topic of the bidet.
Let me tell you
XRP
something.
Speedboat just installed a heated bidet for a customer. $2,800.
Well,
Nice.
Tushy has one right now that's $600. It's $599, and it's phenomenal. It has a dryer and everything else. But I like the manual one. That really you got to be careful the first time. You know, my brother has one of those heated seats and the big deal, and then he bought one for my parents, and I went over and I'm like, man, this just doesn't work for me, man. It's just not. I need some pressure. You know, it's just like it was like a little stream. He's like, oh, you got on max. I go, it was on max. So he's like, hey, I need to use restroom. I go, listen, if you're going to use the Tushy, be careful the first time out, man. I don't want you coming saying, hey, you know, I got an injury here. He comes out and he's like, wow, you weren't kidding, man. I couldn't go full throttle on that, man. I would have. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's just a simple dial. It controls the flow of the water. And that's all you need, man. That's all you need. Jeff, we did become affiliates for Tushy because, you know, we're not one of those people that shill weird stuff. I mean, funny stuff,
We never
whatever.
did anything with it.
We never did anything with it. But I'm like,
Set up the
guys,
affiliate and then moved on.
can we put the link? Can I at least throw it out there? Because people really they want a clean bottom, Jeff.
You know what we'll have to do? We'll have to get that set up, especially once we roll out the website. And we can set up some interesting things over there.
So we got something we've been working on. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We've been working on a brand new website that's going to allow us to do a lot of things. You know, the first one was kind of like a proof of concept. We threw it up there, but this one is going to have some bells and whistles and a lot of cool stuff on it, and we're pretty excited about it. So and it's gonna be wicked fast too. So we ditched one platform for a newer platform, which is fast and amazing. So we're gonna hit that.
Hey, Veritas is bringing up a really good point here. He says, unless Congress starts providing clarity for crypto, the SEC will continue doing what it does best, shaking down vital digital companies and crushing investors. And we saw that, Chip, and we've referenced this. And I think it's important, especially if there's anybody new here and you haven't subscribed yet, definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell notifier, hit the thumbs up. But one of the things that we are referencing here is you have to understand the politics that are involved with the economics, especially when it comes to crypto. And we've talked about, we saw when they dragged Gary Gensler in front of Congress with McHenry and Davidson and Emmer, and they really went after him about going after retail investors. And he, basically was, hey, you're singling out projects. What about the retail investors? You call it a security. What happens to the retail investor that loses billions and they dance around it? The SEC is going to continue doing what they want to do based on the opinion of one man, and that's Daddy G. He thinks he's the daddy of all, and he's going to keep pushing towards, a certain outcome. And Veritas 100% spot on. And this is why, we have to ramp up our pressure on Congress to make sure that they do the right thing, which is why, we're going to try to get McHenry and Emmer on the chain so we can really question them about what's going on over there in the Financial Services Committee.
Hey, so something I want to throw up, kind of like on that whole thing about freedom and freedom of talk. I'm gonna throw this up there so people can look at it. But you got the U.S. right there. He's got his hand on the control of the internet speech, and you got the corporate media guy who's asking, "Hey, how would you like this wrapped?" And there's two possibilities right there, right, Jeff? I mean, how spot on is that?
I like
that
was anti-terrorism, protect the kids.
Yeah, well, because it's gonna be one or the other, right? It's like ostracize. It's all in the name of. And then if this was the SEC, it would be like, how do you want it wrapped? And is it protecting the investor, or is it an investment contract? You know what I mean? It's like, are people being able to profit off of the effort of others? Because I mean, that's like the same thing that comes up time and time again.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You brought that up. Now, if TP becomes a short, there's a shortage of TP, and the value of TP rises to where it becomes a tradable commodity. Does TP then become a security because you're potentially benefiting off of the efforts of others?
Yeah, and then that's right. I mean, look at that, Jeff. What are you going to do? The old TP blockchain story. Here we go right here. So I want to show this one here. This was JamesRuleXRP, which we mentioned was at that conference. And he said, I asked Hester Pierce at the Texas Blockchain Summit if Gary Gensler has read the Safe Harbor 2.0. And she told me that she was still waiting on a text from him. In other words, no. She's waiting on a text, right? And he didn't answer the question. He's like, well, I mean, but did you read it? I mean, we talk all the time. I mean, did you read? I mean, so someone could pose the same question to Jay Gensler. Did he read it? Because 1.0 was during his tenure. So I don't know, Jeff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really pathetic, though, when he came out and said, oh, well, we talk about it all the time. No, but did you read it? Well, no, but we talk about it. Yeah, but are you going to show her the common courtesy and respect of a commissioner on the committee of the SEC? Are you going to show her that decency? To me, it's decorum. It's like, hey, I wrote the safe harbor. Yes, we, maybe they had some conversation. Maybe what was this conversation? That should have been okay. You talked about it. What was it? And maybe the conversation went something like, Hester Pierce was saying, hey, Daddy G, do you want to read? Can you read my safe harbor? No. Hey, Gary, can you read my safe harbor? No, I already told you last time I'm not going to read it. And then, hey, Gary, did you read it? No, I'm not going to bother. So that could be the conversation because he said we talked about it. That could have been the talk about. I mean, it's so pathetic that just a little bit of common courtesy and, he needs to pay her that respect. That's it.
Yeah. So Alan says, I'm convinced this is all a stage set up for the powers that be to take full control, but I do believe we have time to prepare ourselves as investors, make generally, why can't I say that, Jeff? Generational. What's so easy, man? I trip on easy word. Generational wealth with XRP and XLM. Right on. Yeah, and I hold both. So there you go. And now, like I said, I had at one point XLM was my big deal.
That's it. Then Oscar is saying, let's cut Gary some slack. To be fair, maybe he just isn't the reading type. Maybe he doesn't like reading. Maybe he's more of a Netflix type of guy.
Well, that's maybe we can put it into a video for him. Make it a 3-minute video.
Yeah, maybe it's a
mini doc. Well, guys, listen, it's that time again. I just want to let everybody know that best thing you could do to help out the show, it's pretty simple. Just subscribe. You click that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime we go live. Big thing happened. Well, twice. It happened yesterday and it happened again today. We did break 20,000 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you for getting the word out there. Of course, it was a big night when you bring in the caliber of guests that Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton are. They're just both outstanding, and they were phenomenal. It was just
Yeah,
phenomenal.
it was awesome. You know, we definitely had a great time on Thursday with those guys. We have another great guest coming up next Thursday. Someone in the YouTube space that you guys know. I do want to give a shout out to XRP Bags. XRP Bags also has a great YouTube channel, and he showcases his own music, which is XRP,
amazing. Yeah,
which is really good
it's
stuff.
great. I like the ones where he
So-
just plays the music in the background. You just get the vibe on it. Just play it in the background.
That's pretty cool. And then XRP Supercar with a little bit of support. XRP Speedboat is still pushing to see if we can get Madonna on, and probably not going to happen any.
I'm gonna have to try to see if I can get Gene
Anytime.
Simmons on again. I reached out to his person that books him, so I'm gonna try that again. Now
That'd be sweet.
for a while he was everywhere, but I'd love to have him on there. Gene Simmons,
Especially
from
now that we
Kiss.
hit 20,000, he wouldn't have come on before.
He's
he'd
like,
have
hey, you had 20,000? Who the hell are you?
I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get 20, I'm on. Well, there you go. Now you got to come on. So,
Who the hell are
Chip,
you?
hey, did you know that we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
I kind of knew something about it.
Yeah, we even stream on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is really great. And the one thing that is certain, and we see it night in and night out, it is that we have by far the smartest people in the entire crypto space. Come right here on the comments every single night. We have great subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifier, because then you get notified when we go live. And Hans Lode is saying that Berserker is streaming at that link right now. So if you guys want to go over there, I'm sure everyone, can bounce over and have some fun over there. And Oscar's saying that the next 20,000 are going to be faster. I thought it said it was going to be a lot more fun, but next 20,000 will be faster. And
from your
more
lips
fun.
to God's ears,
So
man.
it'll be outstanding.
Nice. I like the way you
With
think,
that,
Oscar. With that, let's
with
get
that,
out of here. What do you
Chip.
think? We think we should get out of here?
I think so. We'll check you guys out on the next one.
See you later. Have a good one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.